Just as we should not kill the golden goose, we should also not fatten the golden goose at the expense of the people's well-being.
Now, please don't get me wrong. I, for one, have no ambition whatsoever to be PM, in case that is already not obvious.
政府坐拥着金山银山，为什么还要在这个时刻让新加坡人勒紧裤腰带呢？
The Workers' Party's position is that the government need not raise the GST. There are other options for raising revenue. These options do not constitute a raiding of the reserves as the PAP enthusiastically and inaccurately portrays. In 2001, then Prime Minister Goh referred to the reserves as a golden goose. The Workers' Party remains of the mind that we can continue to grow the golden goose, but at a slower rate. The impending population bulge for our seniors portends stress lines for our healthcare needs and our welfare system. Our healthcare needs will likely be on an upward trajectory. For the very Singaporeans whose energies contributed to the reserves and who have played their part to fatten the golden goose, spending for them in their golden years and at their time of need should not even be a question. Moderating the growth of the reserves also improves intergenerational equity and accounts for the changing needs of Singapore and its people. Here I ask that the government not rule out changes to our budget framework. Just as we should not kill the golden goose, we should also not fatten the golden goose at the expense of the people's well-being.
When viewed from a glass half-empty perspective, the measures are a tokenism rather than a meaningful attempt at wealth taxes in Singapore. Higher property taxes and ARF are expected to result in 430 million increase in annual revenues, and even if we include higher personal income tax rates, the total annual increase is just about 600 million. This is significantly below what some academics had put forth as possibilities, and our conservative estimates of what the net wealth tax could bring at about $1.2 billion annually. We must guard against only going through the motions where we move towards addressing wealth inequality, or still leaving the least fortunate among us still pleading, "Please sir, I want some more."
As ABST targets mainly property investors, this has effectively become a form of wealth tax, apart from acting as a policy measure to cool the property market. Whilst I know the government may not consider this as a stable form of revenue base for the government, I think investors should not hold out much hope for ABST to be lifted, as it is now a significant part of government revenue. In fact, we should expect more to come on the property front, including the low-hanging fruit of injecting further progressivity to the basic buyer stamp duty from the current 4% for properties valued at 1 million and above, for higher tiers to apply for more luxury homes.
前进党反对增加消费税，所以不支持这项预算案。政府通过增加消费税，将给中产阶级国人每年增加12亿元的负担，而同时，政府对富人的所得税和财富税的税收每年却仅增加预计不到6亿元。新加坡财政状况良好，当国人仍在面对各种困境的时候，我们应该花心思制定更好的财政方案，帮助他们。我们至今有16000亿储备金和300亿还没被动用的年收入。政府坐拥着金山银山，为什么还要在这个时刻让新加坡人勒紧裤腰带呢？新加坡人已经在当前和未来的医疗需要上付出了大笔经销，所以我们重点应该首先放在减少不断上升的医疗保健成本，而不是在加重新加坡人的负担。
What are we doing to boost the wages of our middle-income workers? we could raise the salaries of our frontline workers, regardless of whether they are lower wage workers. This includes our wider range of healthcare workers and adult educators, who are private sector individuals working across the early childhood, student care, universities, private education institutions, and international schools, and who are represented by the NTUC Affiliated Education Services Union, or ESU. The nature of the occupation meant that these adult educators, who are largely aged 35 and above, were one of the first to return to their workplaces as the pandemic dragged on. Increased remuneration will recognize the invaluable societal contributions in this pandemic and extend our appreciation to them, like how we did for our nurses last year.
We can have all the right fiscal policies in place and the mettle to see them through, notwithstanding the pain and pinch, but what we have not sorted out is political succession. The point I'm making is that you, the 4G, can choose someone who is not necessarily the smartest, but you need to choose someone who is the best fit to bring together the team. We don't need to think variant to variant, day by day, month by month. Rather, Singapore plans decade by decade. A manifestation of such farsightedness is our leadership renewal. We must get it right, and we must make the world aware of the succession plan.